Hi! I don't know if you remember, but in the last video we were looking at a question from MK, who was asking how to buy discounted properties. Well, MK has come back with a couple of great follow-up questions which I thought would be really useful to share the answers with everybody on another video. So, here's the question from MK, which I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he says he's looking at low-value properties, like two-bedroom terraces, and so he says, what, in your opinion, is the most cost-effective way of increasing the value? Adding a bedroom, a kitchen or a bathroom? And he goes on to say, I'm looking to spend around £60,000 and spend around £12,000 to get it to value up at around about £90,000 and then remortgage on an 80% LTV. And then finally he says, would I have to wait 6 months from the date of purchase to remortgage? So there's some great questions there and some really good points which are worth looking at. So the first thing is, he's saying that he wants to spend 60 grand on the property, spend about 12 grand doing it up, so that it values up at 90 grand. Now the first thing which you need to be careful about, of course, is what the ceiling value of that particular street or area is, because it doesn't matter how much you spend on the property, it gets to a point where you're not going to add any more value. So what is the ceiling value? Well, effectively, it's the maximum value that you can expect to get for a property in a particular area or street. So if the highest price that's ever been achieved for a property in a particular street is £80,000, for example, then you're not going to be able to get it to value up at £90,000, no matter how much money you keep chucking at it. So, first thing is, it's an obvious thing, and I'm sure that you would do this, but it's to check the ceiling value of the area or the street to make sure that you can get it to value up to the level that you want it to. Now, assuming that properties, when they're done up, do value up to 90,000, again, what's the best way of doing this? Well, adding a bedroom could work. In the video which I showed you last week, a couple of times ago, about Tyler in Sheffield, he put a new bedroom in. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave it down below so you can have a look. But he is able to get an extra bedroom in because the property had a side passage and the upper floor overflew the side passage, which gave him a bit of extra room. It won't always be possible to do that. And in any event, I always say that, particularly if you're starting out, it's better not to get into doing properties and projects which require a lot of structural work. It's best to keep it mainly cosmetic. So what do we mean by cosmetic? Well, yes, a new kitchen, a new bathroom, a lick of paint, that kind of thing. You can add an awful lot of value doing that. I always put new carpets in because that makes the property look really fresh. In theory, putting carpets in shouldn't affect the value of the property at all, but psychologically I think it does. And I think that that's bound to influence the value when he comes around to it. It's all looking very smart and spick and span. But usually you can add enough value by doing kitchen, bathroom, also windows. I like windows. I think windows usually increase the value by more than they cost. And here's a tip for you. Again, it might be quite obvious, but I know some people sort of fall foul of this. Don't buy your windows from one of the big national window firms. Go to your local window retailer. Preferably they make them on site. You'll often find that they make them actually for the big national firms anyway. They just don't tell you that. The national firms often just buy them locally and then go around and get their fitters in to install them. You just pay a premium for the name. So go to your local window firm and get them to make them up. I get my windows made up locally, my builder fits them, he charges me his day rate. Very, very cost effective. But here's the crucial point, I think. Yes, obviously we want to add value through doing the refurbishment, but the starting point is to make sure that we're buying the property at a discount, which goes back to the previous video. If you're buying at a discount, then you've already got value added in. Now, it's harder, of course, if you rely purely upon buying as a discount, it's harder to persuade a valuer to then value it up. But if you buy at a discount and you do the works, then it's a much easier argument. It's much easier to sell that argument to a valuer and show him that the value's gone up. And obviously if you're adding value by a discount and by doing the works, then you're getting a double benefit. So, second part of the question from MK is, would I have to wait 6 months from the date of purchase to remortgage? Not necessarily. Now, he's referring to the 6-month rule. Now, the 6-month rule basically says that a lender won't refinance the property within 6 months of the purchase or 6 months of granting a mortgage. But although we call it colloquially the 6-month rule, it's not really a rule, it's a guideline. and as such not all lenders actually stick to it. Some lenders do, some lenders don't. So this is where a good broker is going to come in. A good broker is going to be able to help you to find finance, and many lenders will lend to you before the end of the 6-month period, particularly if you can show why the property should be valued up. So if you can actually show them by producing the invoices and the bills from the contractors and the builder, if you can show them photos before and after, many lenders will look at that very sympathetically and they'll understand exactly what you've done. So will you have to wait 6 months? Can't say for sure, because it depends upon which lenders you use, but if you get a good broker who'll take you to the right lender, then there's every chance that you won't have to wait 6 months. Final point. MK is talking about taking out an 80% mortgage when he revalues it, when he refinances. Is that possible? Again, all depends upon which lenders you use. If the property's at the right sort of value, and it sounds like this one is, as a general rule of thumb, over 80 grand, yeah, there's lenders out there who'll lend 80%. If it's your first property, the lender may want you to be an experienced landlord before they'll give you 80%. For non-experienced landlords or investors, they might cap it at 75%. But for somebody like the Mortgage Works, for example, what's their definition of an experienced borrower or experienced landlord or an experienced investor? It's somebody who's owned a property for 6 months. So if you want to get the 80%, maybe if this is your first property, it'd be worth waiting the 6 months so you can get a higher loan to value. So anyway, just a few ideas from MK's questions. So thank you, MK. If anybody has any questions, then please keep them coming. You can post them on my YouTube channel, or you can send them direct to me at peter@vaughanjones.freeserve.co.uk. Love to hear from you, love to answer your questions. Here's to successful property investing. By the way, I should say a bit of a PS here, but if you're interested in doing nothing left in deals, and I hope you are, because why would you not be, don't forget I'm running my live workshop on the 28th of February and the 1st of March. The early bird action taker discount expires tomorrow night, that's Saturday, 31st of January, but if you book your place before tomorrow night, you get the early bird action taker discount. After that, the price goes up. Why have I done that? Because I really want to encourage you to come along and to take action. And for those who take action, they deserve the rewards. So please book your place and we can meet up for a couple of days in Nottingham, and we'll be going through loads of stuff about how to do nothing down deals, how to do no money in deals. And it's going to be a great weekend. So please, I've left below this video on my newsletter. If you're watching this on my newsletter, you'll see how to book your place. Click the Order Now button, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of February.